The fifth book of Musa, Devrim, also known as Deuteronomy. Many words were spoken. Chapter 1. These be the words which Musa spoke to all Israel on this side of Jordan, in the wilderness, in the plain over against the sea of reeds, between Paran and Tophel and Lavan and Chazeroth and Rizhav. There are 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Ial to Kadesh Barnea. And it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Musa spoke to the children of Israel according to all that Yahweh had given him in commandment to them. After he had slain Sihon, the sovereign of the Amori, which dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, the sovereign of Bashan, who dwelt at Ashtaroth in Idria. On this side of the Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Musa to declare this Torah, saying, Yahweh our power spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You have dwelt long enough in this mount. Turn and set on your journey, and go to the mount of the Amori, and to all the places near thereunto, in the plain, in the hills, and in the vale, and in the south, and by the seaside, to the land of the Canaani, and to Lebanon, to the great river, to the river Pharat. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land, which Yahweh swore to your Avot, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Jacob, to give to them and to their seed after them. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am not able to sustain you by myself. Yahweh your power has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day as the stars of Shemaim for multitude. Yahweh Elohim of your Avot make you 1,000 times so many more as you are, and increase you as he has promised you. How can I myself alone bear your pressure and your burden and your strife? Take your wise men and with understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And he answered me and said, The thing which ye have spoken is good for us to do. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. And I charge your judges at that time, saying, Hear the causes between your brethren, and judge with right ruling between every man and his brother, and the foreigner that is with him. You shall not show partiality for persons in judgment, but you shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall not be intimidated by the face of the man, for the judgment belongs to Elohim. And if it be too difficult for a case, then bring it to me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which you should do. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all that exceedingly dangerous wilderness which you saw by the way of the mountain of the Amori, as Yahweh our power commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said to you, You have come into the mountain of the Amori, which Yahweh our power will give to us. Behold, Yahweh your power has laid the land before you. Go up and possess it, as Yahweh Elohim of your Avot has said to you. Do not be afraid, neither be discouraged. And you came near to me, every one of you, and said, We will send men before us, and they shall spy out the land, and bring us a report by what way we should go in, and into what cities we shall come. And the saying pleased me well. And I took 12 men of you, one of a tribe, and they prepared, and went up into the mountain, and came to the valley of Eshcol, and searched it out. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down to us, and brought us word again, and said, It is a good land which Yahweh our power will give us. Notwithstanding, you would not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your power. And you complained in your tents, and said, Because Yahweh hated us, he has brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim to hand us over to the Amori to destroy us. What is going to happen to us? Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying, The people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to Shemaim, and moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakim there. Then I said to you, do not be terrified, neither be afraid of them. Yahweh your power, who goes before you, he shall fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes, and in the wilderness, where you had seen how Yahweh your power bore you, as a man will bear his son, in all the way that you went until you came into this place. Yet in this thing you did not believe Yahweh your power, who went in the way before you, to search you out a place to pitch your tents in fire by night, to show you by what way you should go, and in a cloud by day. And when Yahweh heard this, he was angry, and took an oath, saying, Surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land which I swore to give to their Havot, except Caleb the son of Yephuneh. He shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he has set his foot upon, and to his children, because he has completely followed Yahweh. Also Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, saying, You also shall not go in there. But Yehoshua the son of Nun, which stands before you, he shall go in there, and encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your children, which you said would die on the way, and your children, which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in there, and to them will I give it, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn back and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the sea of reeds. Then you answered and said to me, We have transgressed against Yahweh. We will go up and fight according to all that Yahweh our power commanded us. And when you had girded on every man his weapon of war, you were ready to go up into the hill. And Yahweh said to me, Say to them, Do not go up, neither fight, for I am not with you, as you will be defeated. So I spoke to you, and you would not hear, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh, and you went up proudly into the mountain. And the Amori which dwelt in that mountain came out against you, and chased you, as bees do, and drove you back in Seir, even to Hormah. And you returned and wept before Yahweh, but Yahweh would not listen to your voice, nor give any attention to you. So you stayed in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you stayed there. Chapter 2. Then we turned and set out for our journey into the wilderness by the way of the sea of reeds, as Yahweh instructed me, and we went around Mount Ial many days. And Yahweh spoke to me, saying, You have gone around this mountain long enough. Now turn northward, and command the people, saying, You are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Take good heed to yourselves, therefore. Meddle not with them, for I will not give you any of their land, no, not so much as a foot breadth, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau for a possession. You shall buy food from them for money, that you may eat, and you shall also buy Maim of them for money, that you may drink. For Yahweh your power has increased you in all the works of your hand. He knows your walking through this great wilderness these 40 years. Yahweh your power has been with you. You have lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath, and from Etzion-Gaber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And Yahweh said to me, Do not harass the Moabi, neither provoke them to war, for I will not give you of their land for a possession, because I had given Ar to the children of Lot for a possession. The Emim dwelt there in times past, a people great and many and tall as the Anakim, which also were accounted giants as the Anakim, but the Moabi called them Emim. The Hurim also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Asaph succeeded them, when they had destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their stead, as Israel did to the land of his possession, which Yahweh gave to them. Now rise up, said I, and get you over the Wadi Zered. And we went over the Wadi Zered. and the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we came over the Wadi Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from among the host, as Yahweh had sworn to them. For indeed the hand of Yahweh was against them, to destroy them from among the host, until they were consumed. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, that Yahweh spoke to me, saying, Today you are going to cross the border of Moab, that is And when you come nigh over against the children of Ammon, do not contend with them, nor meddle with them, for I will not give you of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it to the children of Lot for a possession. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwell therein in old time, and the Ammonim called them Zemzumim, a people great and many and tall, as the Anakim, but Yahweh destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead. As he did to the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Hurri from before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead even to this day. And the Avim, which dwelt in Hazarim, even to Uzzah, the Captorim, which came forth out of Caphtor, destroyed them and dwelt in their stead. Get up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I have given into your hand Sihon the Amori, sovereign of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it, and engage him for war. This day will I begin to put the dread of you, and the fear of you, upon the nations that are under the whole Shemaim, who shall hear report of you, and shall shiver and shake because of you. And I sent messengers out of the wilderness of Kedemoth to Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, with words of shalom, saying, Let me pass through your land. I will go along by the highway. I will neither turn to the right hand nor to the left. You shall sell me food for money, that I may eat, and give me wine for money, that I may drink. Only I will pass through on my feet. As the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and the Moabi, which dwell in did to me, until I shall pass over Yarden, into the land which Yahweh our power gives us. But Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, would not let us pass by him. For Yahweh your power hardened his ruach, and made his heart obstinate, that he might give him into your hand to this very day. And Yahweh said to me, Behold, I have begun to give Sihon and his land before you. Begin to possess, that you may inherit his land. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Yatsah. And Yahweh our power handed him before us, and we struck him down with his sons and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time, and utterly destroyed the men, and the women, and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. Only the cattle we took for a plunder to ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we took, from Aror, which is by the brink of the river of Arnon, and from the city that is by the river even to Gilead. There was not one city too strong for us. Yahweh our power gave all to us. Only to the land of the children of Ammon you came not, nor to any place of the river Yabuk, nor to the cities in the mountains, or wherever Yahweh our power had forbidden us. Chapter 3. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, the sovereign of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And Yahweh said to me, Fear him not, for I will give him and all the people and his land into your hand, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, sovereign of the Amori, who dwelt at Heshbon. So Yahweh our power gave into our hands Og, also the sovereign of Bashan, and all his people, and we struck him down until not a single survivor was left. And we took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we took not from them. 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls, gates, and bars, beside unwalled towns, a great many. And we utterly destroyed them, as we did to Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children of every city. But all the cattle and the spoil of the cities we took for a prey to ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the 2 sovereigns of the Amori the land that was on this side Jordan, from the river of Arnon to Mount Hermon, which Hermon the Sidonim called Syrian, and the Amori call it Shenir. All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, to Salcha and Adria, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, sovereign of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his sarcophagus was made of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length there, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. And this land which we possessed at that time, from Aror, which is by the river Arnon, and half Mount Gilead, and the cities there, gave I to the Reubeni, and to the Gadi, and the rest of Gilead, and all Bashan, being the kingdom of Og, gave I to the half tribe of Manasseh, all the region of Argob, with all Bashan, which was called the land of giants. Yair, the son of Manasseh, took all the country of Argob to the coast of Geshuri and Ma'akti, and called them after his own name, Bashan, Chavuth, Yair, to this day. And I gave Gilead to Machir, and to the Reubeni and to the Gadi I gave from Gilead even to the river Arnon, half the valley, and the border even to the river Yabok, which is a border of the children of Ammon, the plain also, and Jordan, and the coast there, from Kinnereth even to the sea of plain, even the salt sea, under Estath Pisgah, eastward. And I commanded you at that time, saying, Yahweh your power has given you this land to possess it. You shall pass over armed before your brethren, the children of Israel, all that are meet for the war. But your wives and your little ones and your cattle, for I know that you have much cattle, shall abide in your cities, which I have given you, until Yahweh has given victory to your brethren, as well as to you, and until they also possess the land, which Yahweh your power has given them beyond Jordan. And then shall you return every man to his possession, which I have given you. And I commanded Yehoshua at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that Yahweh your power has done to these 2 sovereigns. So shall Yahweh do to all the kingdoms where you are going. You shall not fear them, for Yahweh your power, he shall fight for you. And I besought Yahweh at that time, saying, O Adonai Yahweh, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what else is there in Shemaim or in earth that can do according to your works and according to your strength? I petition you, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain and Lebanon. But Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and would not listen to me. And Yahweh said to me, Enough of this, speak no more to me of this matter. Get up into the top of Pisgah, and take a good look westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, for you will not be allowed to go over the Jordan. But charge Yehoshua, and encourage him, and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you shall see. So we abode in the valley over against Beth Peor. Chapter 4. Now therefore listen, O Israel, to the statutes and to the judgments which I teach you, for to do them that you may live and go in and take over the land which Yahweh Elohim of your Avot has given you. You shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. All the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahweh your power has destroyed them from among you. But you that did remain trustworthy to Yahweh, your power, are alive every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land which you are about to enter and possess. And you shall guard them and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who has Elohim so close to them, as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so right ruling, as all this Torah, which is set before you this day? Only pay careful attention, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life, but teach them to your sons and your sons' sons, especially the day that you stood before Yahweh your power in Horeb, when Yahweh said to me, Gather to me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the midst of Shemaim, and darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only you heard a voice. And he declared to you his contract, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tablets of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land where you go over to enter and possess it. Take you therefore good heed to yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahweh spoke to you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that crawls on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the mine beneath the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes to Shemaim, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of Shemaim, should be driven to pay homage to them, and serve them, which Yahweh your power has divided to all nations under the whole Shemaim. But Yahweh has taken you, and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Mitzrayim, to be to him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over Yarden, and that I should not go into that good land which Yahweh power gives you for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Yarden, but you shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the contract of Yahweh your power, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of anything which Yahweh your power has forbidden you. For Yahweh your power is a consuming fire, even the jealous El. When you shall produce children and grandchildren, and you shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh your power, to provoke him to anger, I call the Shemaim and the earth to witness against you this day, that you shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto you go over Yarden to possess it. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall surely utterly be destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where Yahweh shall lead you. And there you shall serve powers, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from now on you shall seek Yahweh your power, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. In the latter days, when days of distress come upon you, and if you will turn around to repentance to Yahweh your power, and shall be obedient to his voice, for Yahweh your power is a merciful El. He will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the contract of your avot, which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of Shemaim to the other, whether there has been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Did ever people hear the voice of Elohim, speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and live? Or has Elohim before tried to take a nation from the midst of another nation, by trials, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahweh your power did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes? Only you were picked so that you might know that Yahweh is Elohim, there is none else beside him. Out of Shemaim he made you to hear his voice, that he might instruct you, and upon earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your avot, therefore he chose your seed after them, and brought you out in his sight with his mighty power out of Mitzrayim, to drive out nations from before you, greater and mightier than you are, to bring you in to give you their land for an inheritance, as is this day. Realize this from today, and carefully consider it in your heart, that Yahweh he is Elohim in the Shemaim above, upon the earth beneath, there is none else. You shall keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, that you may prolong your days upon the earth, which Yahweh your power gives you forever. Then Musa selected 3 cities on this side, Yarden, toward the sun rising. Anyone who accidentally kills someone without hatred might flee there, and that fleeing into one of these cities he might be safe. Namely, Bethser in the wilderness, in the plain country of the Reubeni, and Ramoth in Gilead, of the Godi, and Golan in Bashan, of the Menashites. And this is the Torah which Musa set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which Musa spoke to the children of Israel after they came forth out of Mitzrayim, on this side Yarden, in the valley, over against Beth Peor, in the land of Sichon, sovereign of the Amori, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Musa and the children of Israel smote, after they were come forth out of Mitzrayim. And they possessed his land, and the land of Og, sovereign of Bashan, 2 sovereigns of the Amori, which were on this side Yarden, toward the sun rising, from Aror, which is by the bank of the river Arnon, even to Mount Sion, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side Yarden, eastward, even to the sea of the plain, under the springs of Pisgah. Chapter 5. The 10 Commandments, repeated. And Musa called all Israel, and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments, which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them, and keep and do them. Yahweh our power made a contract with us in Horeb. Yahweh made not this contract with our avot, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahweh talked with you face to face, in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood before Yahweh, and you at that time, to bring you the word of Yahweh. For you were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, Aleph, I am Yahweh your power, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bait of slavery. Bet, you shall have no other powers before me. You shall not make you any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the Shemaim above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the mine beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh your power, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of the Avoth upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing loving kindness to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Gimel, you shall not lift up the name of Yahweh your power in oaths falsely. Yahweh will not hold him guiltless who lifts his name and falsifies it. Dalit, guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahweh your power has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath of Yahweh your power. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your foreigner that is within your gates, that your male servant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were servant in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh your power brought you out of there through a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahweh your power commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Hey, respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh your power has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, that may go well with you in the land which Yahweh your power is about to give you. Wah, you shall not murder. Zayin, neither shall you commit adultery. Chet, neither shall you steal. Tet, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. Yud, neither shall you desire your neighbor's wife, neither shall you covet your neighbor's base, his field, or his male servant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahweh spoke to all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stones and gave them to me. And it came to pass, when you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that you came near to me, even all the chiefs of your tribes and your elders. And you said, Behold, Yahweh our power has showed us his esteem and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day, and Elohim will talk with man, and he lives. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our power any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have and lived? You go near and hear all that Yahweh our power shall say, and speak to us all that Yahweh our power shall speak to you, and we will hear it and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and Yahweh said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there was such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, Return into your tents again. But as for you, stand here by me, and I will speak to you all the commandments, and the statutes and the judgments, which you shall teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. You shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your power has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You shall have your halakha in all the halachot which Yahweh your power has commanded you, that you may live, that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which you shall possess. Chapter 6. These are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which Yahweh your power commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land we are going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahweh your power, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the days of your life, that your days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohim of your Avot has promised you in the land that flows with milk and honey. The Shema. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Ve'ahavta et Yahweh Elohecha bekul levavka, uvkul nafshcha, uvkul madecha. Ve'hayu hadwarim ha'ile asher anochi, mitzocha hayom al lavavecha. Ve'shanintam lavanecha, ve'debarta ba'am, ve'shiftecha v'techa, uflechtecha ve'drech, ufshachbecha ufkamecha. Ukshartam leot al yadecha, ve'hayu letotafot beinanecha. Uchtabtam al mazazot v'techa v'sharecha. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh our Supreme One, Yahweh is Echad. And you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bayit, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your bayit, and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yahweh your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your Avot, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, to give you great and goodly cities which you did not build, and houses full of all good things which you fill not, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, when you shall have eaten and be full. Then beware lest you forget Yahweh, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bait of slavery. You shall fear Yahweh your power, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after other Elohim, of the Elohim of the people which are round about you. For Yahweh your power is a jealous El among you, lest the anger of Yahweh your power be kindled against you, and destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahweh your power, as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the good land which Yahweh swore to your Avot, to cast out all your enemies from before you, as Yahweh has spoken. And when your son asks you in the latter times, saying, What mean the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which Yahweh our power has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, We were Pharaoh's bondmen in Mitzrayim, and Yahweh brought us out of Mitzrayim with a mighty hand. And Yahweh sent signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Mitzrayim, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from there, that he might bring us in, to give us a land which he swore to our Avot. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our power, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our right ruling, if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our power, as he has commanded us. Chapter 7. When Yahweh your power shall bring you into the land, where you are going to possess it, and he has cast out many nations before you, the Hitti, and the Girgashi, and the Amori, and the Canaani, and the Perzi, and the Hovi, and the Yebusi, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahweh your power shall hand them before you, you shall conquer them, and utterly destroy them. You shall make no contract with them, nor show loving kindness to them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give to his son, nor his daughter shall you take to your son. For they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other Elohim. so will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. Instead, this is what you must do to them. You shall tear down their altars and shatter down their pillars and cut down their Asherah poles and burn their idols. For you are a set-apart people to Yahweh your power. Yahweh your power has chosen you to be a treasured possession to himself above all the people that are over the whole face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people, but because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn to your Avot, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the bait of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. Know therefore that Yahweh your power, he is Elohim, the trustworthy El, which keeps contract and unmerited favor with them that love him and guard his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him, he will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day, to do them. Therefore it shall come to pass, if you listen to my voice, to these judgments, and guard and do them, that Yahweh your power shall guard you into the contract and unmerited favor which he swore to your Avot, and he will love you and increase you and multiply you. He will also increase you with many children, and the fruit of your land, your wheat and your wine and your oil, the offspring of your oxen and the flocks of your sheep, in the land which he swore to your Avot to give you. You shall be increased above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle. And Yahweh will take away from you all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Mitzrayim, which you know about, but will lay them upon all them that hate you. And you shall conquer all the people which Yahweh your power shall give you. Your eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shall you serve their powers, for that will be a trap for you. If you shall say in your heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them, but shall well remember what Yahweh power did to Pharaoh and to all Mitzrayim, the great temptations which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretched out arm, whereby Yahweh your power brought you out, so shall Yahweh your power do to all the people of whom you are afraid. Moreover, Yahweh your power will send the hornet among them, until they that are left, and hide themselves from you, be destroyed. You shall not be afraid of them, for Yahweh your power is among you, a mighty El, and awesome. And Yahweh your power will expel these nations before you, by little and little. You may not destroy them all at once, lest the animals of the field overrun you. But Yahweh your power shall give them to you, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction, until they be destroyed. And he shall give their sovereigns into your hand, and you shall destroy their name from under Shemaim. There shall no man be able to stand before you, until you have destroyed them. The graven images of their powers you shall burn with fire. You shall not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it to you, lest you be entrapped therein, for it is a ritual defilement to Yahweh your power. Neither shall you bring any ritual defilement into your bith, lest you become object of the set-apart wrath, and you must abhor it, for it is a detestable thing. Chapter 8. All the commandments which I command you this day, you shall observe to do, that you may live, and exceedingly increase, and go in and possess the land, which Yahweh swore to your Avot. And you shall remember all the way which Yahweh your power led you these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you, and to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would guard his commandments or not. And he humbled you, and suffered you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you knew not, neither did your Avot know, that he might make you know that man will not live by lachem, bread alone, only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh will man live. Your clothes did not wear out, neither did your feet swell these 40 years. You shall also consider in your heart that as a man chastens his son, so Yahweh your power chastens you. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, to keep the halakha of his halachot, and to fear him. For Yahweh your power brings you into a good land, a land of brooks of Maim, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and wines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive and honey, a land wherein you shall eat lachem without scarcity. You shall not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can mine copper. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall thank Yahweh for the benefit, for your power, for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you forget not Yahweh your power, in not keeping his commandments, and his judgments, and his statutes, which I command you this day, lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built good houses, and dwelt therein, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart be lifted up, and you forget Yahweh your power, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the base of slavery, who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were poisonous snakes, and scorpions, and drought, where there was no Maim, who brought you forth Maim out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your avot knew not, that he might humble you, and that he might prove you, to do you good at your latter end. And you say in your heart, my ability and the strength of my hand has gotten me this wealth. But you shall remember Yahweh your power, for it is he that gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his contract, which he swore to your avot, as it is this day. And it shall be, if you do at all forget Yahweh your power, and do the halachot of other powers, and serve them, and pay homage to them, I testify against you this day, that you shall surely be destroyed. As the nations which Yahweh destroyed in front of you, so shall you perish, because you would not be obedient to the voice of Yahweh your power. Please note that this is a commandment, min ha-Torah, from the Torah, that when we finish eating, we do the Birkat HaMazon, which is preceded before with the short bracha, such as Bruchata, Yahweh Eloheinu, Melech Olam, HaMotzi Lechem min Haaretz, which is then concluded with the Birkat HaMazon, which we are being instructed in the Torah, in the chapter of Devrim, chapter 8, verse 10, which goes as follows. Bruchata Yahweh Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Hazan et Haolam Kolu Betovu Bechen Bechesed Urachamim, Hu Noten Lechem Lechol Besar Ki Le'olam Chasto, Otovu Hagadol Tomid Laksa Lanu Vel Yaksa Lanu, Ma'azon Le'olam Va'ed, Bavu Shemo Hagadol Ki Hu Elzan Fanes Lachul, Umetiv Lachul Umechin Mazon Lechol Briota Vashel Bra, Bruchata Yahweh Hazan et Hakol. And during the week, we recite at the end of the Birkat HaMazon, Magdil Yeshuat Melchol, he who makes great the salvation, rescue of his kin, from 2 Samuel, chapters 22, verse 51. It is also customary to recite the final verse of Birkat HaMazon quietly, or whisper it, followed by Ubne Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh Bimhara V'Yameinu, rebuild Yerushalayim, the Kadosh city, soon in our days. Bruchata Yahweh Boneh Berachamav Yerushalayim, Amen. Benevolent are you, Yahweh, who rebuilds Yerushalayim in his mercy, Amen. And after that, the benediction for the prayer for the country of Israel is recited. Our Heavenly Father, Rock of Israel and its Redeemer, Increase the state of Israel, the sprout of our redemption, through your Mashiach. Strengthen the hands of those who defend the Kadosh land, and bring them our Elohim salvation, and crown them with the wreath of victory, and establish shalom for us in our lifetime. Send our Messiah and the redemption of all our people quickly. Send shalom in our land and everlasting joy for its inhabitants forever. Note that all these prayers can be found in the African Israel Siddur that can be acquired at such stores as Amazon or any good online bookstore. End note. Chapter 9. Shema Yisrael. Listen, Yisrael. You are to pass over Yarden this day, to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fenced up to Shemaim. Start again. Shema Yisrael. Hear, O Israel, you are to pass over Yarden this day, to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fenced up to Shemaim, a people great and tall, the children of the Anakim, whom you knew about, and of whom you have heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak? Understand therefore this day that Yahweh your power is He who goes over before you as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and He shall bring them down before your face. So you shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as Yahweh has said to you. Do not say in your heart, after that Yahweh your power has cast them out from before you, saying, for my right ruling, Yahweh has brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh will drive them out from before you, not for your right ruling, or for the uprightness of your heart do you go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh your power will drive them out from before you, and that He may perform the word which Yahweh swore to your avot Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Understand therefore that Yahweh your power does not give you this good land to possess it for your right ruling, for you are a stubborn people. Remember and forget not how you provoked Yahweh your power to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you did depart out of the land of Mitzrayim until you came to this place. You have been rebellious against Yahweh. Also in Horeb you provoked Yahweh to wrath, so that Yahweh was angry with you, to have destroyed you. When I was gone up into the mount to receive the tables of stone, even the tables of the contract which Yahweh made with you, then I abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. I neither did eat lachem nor drink mayim, and Yahweh gave to me 2 tables of stone, written with the finger of Elohim, and on them was written according to all the words which Yahweh spoke with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me the 2 tables of stone, even the tables of the contract. And Yahweh said to me, Arise, go down quickly from hence, for your people which you have brought forth out of Mitzrayim have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molten image. Furthermore, Yahweh spoke to me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, they are a stubborn people. Let me alone, that I may finish them off, and blot out their name from under Shemaim, and I will make of you a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mount, and the mount burned with fire, and the 2 tables of the contract were in my 2 hands. And I looked, and behold, you had transgressed against Yahweh your power, and had made yourself a molten calf. You had turned aside quickly out of the way which Yahweh had commanded you. And I took the 2 tables, and cast them out of my 2 hands, and broke them before your eyes. And I fell down before Yahweh, as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I did neither eat lachem nor drink mayim, because of all your transgressions which you transgressed in doing wickedly in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke Him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure, wherewith Yahweh was extremely angry against you to destroy you. But Yahweh listened to me at that time also. And Yahweh was very angry with Aaron to have destroyed him, and I petitioned for Aaron also the same time. And I took your transgression, the calf which you had made, smashed it, and then burnt it with fire, and ground it very small, even until it was as small as dust. And I cast the dust there into the stream that descended out of the mount. And at Tavera, and at Massa, and at Kivroth Hatava, you provoked Yahweh to wrath. Likewise, when Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you, even then you rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your power, and you believed him not, nor paid any attention to his voice. You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I took pity of you. Thus I fell down before Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yahweh has said he would destroy you. I petitioned therefore to Yahweh and said, O Adonai Yahweh, destroy not your people and your inheritance, which you have redeemed through your greatness, which you have brought up out of Mitzrayim by your mighty hand. Remember your servants Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Look not to the stubbornness of this people, nor to their wickedness, nor to their transgression, lest the country from where you brought us out say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to destroy them in the wilderness. Yet these are your people and your inheritance, which you brought out by your mighty power and by your stretched out arm. Please note that at the time that Yahweh shows his displeasure, because the people have made the molten calf, he speaks to Moses and calls the people his people, Moses' people. He does not at that point call them Yahweh's people. And then Moses turns around and tells Yahweh that they are your people, and therefore he begs forgiveness for their misdeeds. And Yahweh then listens to Moses. There is great wisdom in this, that a right-ruling Levite can stand before Yahweh and seek forgiveness for the congregation, for the house of Israel, and Yahweh accepts it without any sacrifice or any other offering. End note. Chapter 10. At that time Yahweh said to me, Carve out for yourselves 2 tables of stones like the ones before, and come up to me into the mount, and make yourself an ark of wood. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and carved out 2 tables of stones, like to the first, and went up into the mount, having the 2 tables in my hand. And he wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the 10 commandments, which Yahweh spoke to you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly, and Yahweh gave them to me. And I turned myself and came down from the mount, and put the tables in the ark which I had made. And there they be, as Yahweh commanded me. And the children of Israel took their journey from Beroth of the children of Yaakon to Mosera. There Aaron died, and there he was buried, and Eleazar his son ministered in the Kohen's office in his stead. From there they journeyed to Gudgodah, and from Gudgodah to Yotbatah, a land of rivers of Maim. At that time Yahweh separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the contract of Yahweh, to stand before Yahweh, to minister to him, and to benefit in his name to this day. Therefore Levi has no part or inheritance with his brethren. Yahweh is his inheritance, accordingly as Yahweh of power promised him. And I stayed in the mount according to the first time, 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh listened to me at that time also, and Yahweh would not destroy you. And Yahweh said to me, Arise, take your journey before the people, that they may go in and possess the land, which I swore to their avot to give to them. And now, Yisrael, what will Yahweh your power require of you, but to fear Yahweh your power, to keep the halakha in his way, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh your power with all your heart and with all your soul, to keep the commandments of Yahweh and his statutes, which I command you this day for your good. Indeed, Shemaim and the higher Shemaim belong to Yahweh your power, the earth also, with all that is therein. Only Yahweh had a delight in your Ahavoth, to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. Therefore circumcise the foreskin of your heart, and do not be stubborn any more, for Yahweh your power is the supreme power of the powers, and master of masters, a great El, a strong and awesome one, who respects not persons, nor takes reward. He will execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loves a foreigner in giving him food and raiment. You should love the foreigner, for you were foreigners in the land of Mitzrayim. You shall fear Yahweh your power, him shall you serve, and to him shall you cling, and swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your power, that has done for you these great and terrible things, which your eyes have seen. Your Ahavoth went down into Mitzrayim, 70 persons, and now Yahweh your power has made you as the stars of Shemaim for multitude. Chapter 11. Therefore you shall love Yahweh your power, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments all the days. And know you this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known, which have not seen the chastisement of Yahweh your power, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles, and his acts, which he did in the midst of Mitzrayim to Pharaoh, the sovereign of Mitzrayim, and to all his land. And what he did to the army of Mitzrayim, Egypt, to their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the mime of the sea of reeds to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how Yahweh has destroyed them to this day. And what he did to you in the wilderness until you came into this place. And what he did to Dathan in Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their households, and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possession in the midst of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of Yahweh which he did. Therefore shall you keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that you may be strong, and go in and possess the land where you go to possess it, and that you may prolong your days in the land which Yahweh swore to your Ahavoth, to give to them and to their seed, a land that flows with milk and honey. For the land where you are going in to possess it is not as the land of Mitzrayim, from where you came out, where you sowed your seed, and watered it with your feet as a garden of herbs. But the land where you go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinks mime of the rain of Shemaim, a land which Yahweh of power cares, for the eyes of Yahweh of power are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even to the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, if you listen carefully to my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your power, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that you may gather in your wheat and your wine and your oil. And I will send grass in your fields for your cattle, that you may eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other powers, and pay homage to them. Then Yahweh's wrath be ignited against you, and he shut up the Shemaim, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, and lest you perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh gives you. Therefore shall you lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall teach them your children, speaking of them when you sit in your bith, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down and when you rise up. And you shall write them upon the doorposts of your bith and upon your gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which Yahweh swore to your Ahavoth to give them, as the days of Shemaim upon the earth. For if you shall carefully keep all these commandments which I command you to do them, to love Yahweh your power, to walk in all his halakha, and to cling to him, then will Yahweh drive out all these nations from before you, and you shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Pharat, Euphrates, even to the uttermost sea shall your coast be. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for Yahweh your power shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that you shall tread upon, as he has said to you. Behold, I set before you this day a benefit and a curse. A benefit if you obey the commandments of Yahweh your power, which I command you this day, and a curse if you not obey the commandments of Yahweh your power, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other powers which you have not known. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh your power has brought you into the land where you are going to possess it, they shall put the benefit upon Mount Gerizim and the curse upon Mount Ial. Are they not on the other side Yarden, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaani, which dwell in the wilderness plains, over against Gilgal, beside the terebinth trees of Moreh? You shall pass over Yarden to go in to possess the land which Yahweh your power is going to give you, and you shall possess it and dwell therein, and you shall obey all the statutes and judgments which are set before you this day. Chapter 12. These are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land which Yahweh Elohim of your Avoth will give you to possess it all the days that you live upon the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which you shall possess serve their powers, upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green etz. You shall overflow their altars and break their pillars and burn their Asherah poles with fire, and you shall hew down the graven images of their powers and destroy the name of them out of that place. You shall not do so to Yahweh your power, but to the place which Yahweh your power shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name, there, even to his habitation shall you seek, and there shall you enter, and there you shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the bechor of your herds and of your flocks. And there you shall eat before Yahweh your power, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households, wherein Yahweh your power has benefited you. You shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For you are not as yet come to the rest, and to the inheritance which Yahweh your power will give you. But when you go over the Yarden, and dwell in the land which Yahweh your power gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yahweh your power shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. There shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow to Yahweh. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh your power, you and your sons and your daughters, and your men servants and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he has no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to yourselves that you offer not your burnt offering in every place that you see, but in the place which Yahweh shall choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. Notwithstanding, you may slaughter and eat meat in all your gates, whatsoever your soul desires, according to the increase of Yahweh your power, which he has given you. The ritually unclean and the ritually clean may eat there too, as of the gazelle and as of the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood, you shall pour it upon the earth as ma'im. You may not eat within your gates the tithe of your wheat, or of your wine, or of your oil, or the bechor of your herds, or of your flock, nor any of your vows which you have vowed, nor your freewill offerings or heave offering of your hand. But you must eat them before Yahweh your power in the place which Yahweh your power shall choose, you and your son and your daughter, and your male servant and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh your power in all that you put your hands to. Take heed to yourselves that you forsake not the Levite as long as you live upon the earth. When Yahweh your power shall enlarge your border as he has promised you, and you shall say, I will eat meat, because your soul longs to eat meat. You may eat meat, whatsoever your soul desires. If the place which Yahweh your power has chosen to put his name there be too far from you, then you shall slaughter of your herd and of your flock which Yahweh has given you, as I have commanded you, and you shall eat in your gates whatsoever your soul desires. Even as the gazelle and the deer is eaten, so you shall eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that you eat not the blood, for the blood is a life, and you may not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it, you shall pour it upon the earth as ma'im. You shall not eat it, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. Only your set-apart things which you have, and your vows you shall take, and go to the place which Yahweh shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings, both meat and the blood, upon the altar of Yahweh your power, and the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of Yahweh your power, and you shall eat the meat. Observe and hear all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you forever, when you do that which is good and right in the sight of Yahweh your power. When Yahweh your power shall cut off the nations from before you, where you go to possess them, and you succeed them and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you are not entrapped by following them. After that, they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their powers, saying, how do these nations serve their powers? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so to Yahweh your power, for every ritual defilement is to Yahweh which he hates, have they done to their powers, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their powers. Whatever things I command you, observe to do it. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish from it. Chapter 13. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a miracle comes to pass, and the sign or the miracle that came to pass, about which he spoke to you, saying, let us go after other powers, which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh your power is testing you, to know whether you love Yahweh your power with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall keep the halakha of Yahweh your power, and fear him, and guard his commandments, and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cling to him. And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh your power, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and redeemed you out of the bait of slavery, to draw you out of the way, which halakha, Yahweh your power, commanded that you keep. So shall you put the evil away from among you. Suppose your own full brother, or your son, or your daughter, or your beloved wife, or your friend, which are very close to you, entertain you by secretively saying, let us go and serve other powers, which you have not known, you nor your avot, namely of the powers of the people, which are round about you, near to you, or far off from you, from the one end of the country even to the other end of the world. You shall not consent to them, nor listen to them, neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him. But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones, that he die, because he has sought to thrust you away from Yahweh your power, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bait of slavery. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If you shall hear, say in one of your cities, which Yahweh your power has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other powers, which you have not known. Then shall you inquire, and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain that such ritual defilement is wrought among you, you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle there, with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street there, and shall burn the city, and all its plunder, as a burnt offering to Yahweh your power, and it shall be a heap of ruins forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cling none of the cursed thing to your hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you loving kindness, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you, as he has sworn to you, I have wrought. When you shall listen to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard all his commandments, which I command you this day, to do that which is upright in the eyes of Yahweh your power. Chapter 14. You are the children of Yahweh your power. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make your forehead bald for the dead, for you are a set-apart people to Yahweh your power, and Yahweh has chosen you to be a special treasure to himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. You shall not eat any ritually defiled thing. These are the animals which you shall eat: the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the deer, and the fallow deer, and the antelope, and the wild goat, and the mountain sheep, and the wild ox, and the gazelle. And you may eat animals that have its hoof divided, and chew the cud. However, the following animals you shall not eat, that chew the cud, or have divided hoofs, such as the camel, and the hare, and the rabbit, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof, therefore they are unclean to you, and the pig, because its hoof is divided, but it does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. You shall not eat of their meat, nor touch their dead carcass. These you shall eat of all that are in the Maim, all that have fins and scales shall you eat, and whatever has no fins and scales you may not eat, it is unclean to you. Of all clean birds you shall eat, but these are they of which you shall not eat: the eagle, and the vulture, and the black vulture, and the red kite, and the falcon, and the buzzard after its kind, and every raven after its kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the fisher owl, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat. And every crawling thing that flies is unclean to you, they shall not be eaten. But of all clean fowls you may eat. You shall not eat of anything that dies of itself. You shall give it to the foreigner that is in your gates, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to an alien. For you are a set-apart people to Yahweh your power. You shall not grow a young goat in her mother's milk. Tithe so that you become wealthy, all the increase of your seed, that the field brings forth year by year. And you shall eat before Yahweh your power, in the place which he shall choose to place his name, there the tithe of your wheat, of your wine, and of your oil, and the bechor of your herds, and of your flocks, that you may learn to fear Yahweh your power always. And if the way be too long for you, so that you are not able to carry it, if the place be too far from you, which Yahweh your power shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh your power has benefited you, then shall you turn it into money, and bind up the money in your hand, and shall go to the place which Yahweh your power shall choose. And you shall bestow that money, For whatsoever your soul desires to eat, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever your soul desires. And you shall eat there before Yahweh your power, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. And the Levite that is within your gates, you shall not forsake him, for he has no part nor inheritance with you. At the end of 3 years you shall bring forth all the tithe of your maaser goods the same year, and shall lay it up within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no part to inheritance with you, and the foreigner, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within your gates, shall come, and shall eat, and be satisfied, that Yahweh your power may benefit you in all the work of your hand which you do. Chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years you shall make a cancellation of debt, and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lends to his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, or of his brother, because it is called Yahweh's release. Of a foreigner you may exact it again, but that which is yours with your brother your hand shall release. Rescue until there shall be no more poor among you, for Yahweh shall greatly increase you in the land which Yahweh your power gives you for an inheritance to possess it. Only if you carefully pay attention to the voice of Yahweh your power, to observe to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For Yahweh your power increased you, as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations. But you shall not borrow, and you shall reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over you. If there be among you a poor man of one of your brethren within any of your gates in your land, which Yahweh your power has given you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother, but you shall open your hand wide to him, and shall surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wants. Beware that there be not a thought in your wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and your eye be evil against your poor brother, and you give him nothing, and he cry to Yahweh against you, and it will be a transgression against you. Surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give to him, because for this Yahweh your power shall increase you in all your works, and all that you put your hand to. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide to your brother, to your poor, and to your needy in your land. And if your brother, an Abrahu man, or an Abrahu woman, be sold to you, and serve you 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go free from you. And when you send him out free from you, you shall not let him go away empty. You shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, and out of your floor, and out of your winepress. Of that wherewith Yahweh your power has increased you, you shall give to him. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and Yahweh your power redeemed you. Therefore I command you this thing today, and it shall be, if he say to you, I will not go away from you, because he loves you, and you obeyeth, because he is well with you, then you shall take an awl, and thrust it through his ear to the door, and he shall be your servant forever. And also to your maidservant you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard to you, when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant to you, in serving you 6 years, and Yahweh your power shall increase you in all that you do. All the Bechor males that come of your herd, and of your flock, you shall sanctify to Yahweh your power. You shall do no work with the Bechor of your bullock, nor shear the Bechor of your sheep. You shall eat it before Yahweh your power, year by year, in the place which Yahweh shall choose, you and your household. And if there be any blemish therein, as if it be lame or blind, or have any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it to Yahweh your power. You shall eat it within your gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as a gazelle and as the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood of them. You shall pour it upon the ground, as Ma'im. Chapter 16. Guard intently the new month of Aviv, and keep the Passover to Yahweh your power. For in the month of Aviv, Yahweh your power brought you forth out of Mitzrayim by night. You shall therefore sacrifice the Passover to Yahweh your power of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. You shall eat no leavened lechem with it. 7 days shall you eat matzah therewith, even the lechem of affliction. For you came forth out of the land of Mitzrayim in haste, that you may remember the day when you came forth out of the land of Mitzrayim all the days of your life. And there shall be no leavened lechem seen with you in all your coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which you sacrifice the first day at even remain all night until the morning. You may not sacrifice a Passover within any of your gates, which Yahweh power gives you, but at the place which Yahweh power shall choose to place his name in, there you shall sacrifice a Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came forth out of Mitzrayim. And you shall roast and eat it in the place which Yahweh power shall choose. And you shall turn in the morning and go to your tents. 6 days you shall eat unleavened lechem, and on the 7th day shall be an appointed assembly to Yahweh your power. You shall do no work therein. 7 weeks shall you number to you. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as you begin to put the sickle to the wheat. And you shall keep Chag HaShavuot, the appointed celebration time of Pentecost, for Yahweh your power, with a tribute of a freewill offering of your hand, which you shall give to Yahweh your power, according to as Yahweh your power has increased you. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh your power, you and your son and your daughter, and your male servant and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, and the foreigner, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which Yahweh your power has chosen to place his name there. And you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim. You shall observe and do these statutes. You shall observe Chag HaSukkot, the appointed celebration time of tabernacles, 7 days. After that you have gathered in your wheat and your wine, and you shall rejoice in your Chag, you and your son and your daughter and your male servant and your maidservant, and the Levite, the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow that are within your gates. 7 days shall you keep a set-apart Chag to Yahweh your power in the place which Yahweh shall choose, because Yahweh your power shall increase you in all your increase, and in all the works of your hands. Therefore you shall surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahweh your power in the place which he shall choose, in Chag HaMetzot, the appointed celebration time of unleavened bread, and in Chag HaShavuot, the appointed celebration time of Pentecost, and in Chag HaSukkot, the appointed celebration time of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the increase of Yahweh your power, which he has given you. You will make judges and officers in all your gates, which Yahweh your power gives you, throughout your tribes, and they shall judge the people with right ruling judgment. You shall not distort the judgment, nor you shall regard a person standing, neither take a bribe, for a bribe will blind the eyes of the wise, and pervert the words of judgment. Justice, justice you will pursue, that you may live and inherit the land which Yahweh your power gives you. You shall not plant any tree as an Asherah image near to the altar of Yahweh your power, which you shall make for you, neither shall you set up any graven image, which Yahweh your power hates. Chapter 17. You shall not sacrifice to Yahweh your power any bullock or sheep, wherein is blemish, or any other defect, for that is a ritual defilement to Yahweh your power. If there be found among you, within any of your gates, which Yahweh your power has given you, man or woman, that has worked wickedness in the sight of Yahweh your power, in transgressing his contract, and has gone and served other powers, and petitioned them, either the sun or moon, or any of the host of Shemaim, which I have not commanded, and it has been reported to you, and you have made diligent inquiries, and the report is true, that ritual defilement has occurred in Israel, then shall you bring forth that man or that woman which has committed that wicked thing to your gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or 3 witnesses, shall he that is worthy of death be put to death, but at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterward the hands of all the people. So you shall put the evil away from among you. If there arise a matter too hard for you in judgment between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within your gates, then shall you rise and get up into the place which Yahweh power shall choose. You shall come to the Kohanim, the Levim, and to the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show you the sentence of judgment. And you shall do according to the sentence which therefore that place which Yahweh shall choose shall show you, and you shall observe to do according to all that they inform you, according to the sentence of the Torah which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you, you shall do. You shall not decline from the sentence which they shall show you, to the right hand nor to the left. And the man that does not pay attention, and will not listen to the Kohen that stands to minister there before Yahweh your power, or to the judge, even that man shall die. And you shall put away the evil from Israel. And all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously, when you have come into the land which Yahweh your power gives you, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a sovereign over me, like as all the nations that are about me. You shall in any wise set him sovereign over you, whom Yahweh your power shall choose. One from among your brethren shall you set sovereign over you. You may not set a foreigner over you, which is not your brother. But he shall not accumulate horses for himself, nor cause a people to return to Mitzrayim, to the end that he should accumulate horses. For as much as Yahweh has said to you, you shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he greatly increase many wives for himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he increase a great amount of silver and gold for himself. And it shall be, when he sits upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this Torah in a scroll out of that which is before the Kohanim, the Levim. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahweh his Elohim, to keep all the words of this Torah and these statutes, to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. Chapter 18. The Kohanim, the Levim, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among their brethren. Yahweh is their inheritance, as he has said to them. And this shall be the Kohanim due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be ox or sheep. And they shall give to the Kohen the thigh, and the 2 cheeks, and the stomachs, the bikurim, first fruit also of your wheat, of your wine, and of your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep shall you give him. For Yahweh your power has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand to minister in the name of Yahweh, him and his sons forever. And if a Levite come from any of your gates, out of all Israel, where he sojourned, and come with all the desire of his mind, to the place which Yahweh shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of Yahweh his Elohim, as all his brethren the Levim do, which stand there before Yahweh. They shall have like portions to eat, beside that which comes from the sale of his family's inheritance. When ye have come into the land which Yahweh your power gives you, ye shall not learn to do the ritual defilement of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that sacrifices his son or his daughter in the fire, or that predicts horoscopes, or a medium calling up ruachot, spirits, or an omen reader, or a sorcerer, or a magician casting spells, or a medium with familiar ruachot, spirits, or a conjurer, or one speaking to the ruachot, spirits of the dead. For all that these things are ritual defilement practices to Yahweh, and because of these ritual defilement practices, Yahweh your power will drive them out from before you. You shall be blameless before Yahweh your power. For these nations which you shall possess listen to astrologers and to omen readers, but as for you, Yahweh your power has not permitted you to do this. Yahweh your power will raise up for you a prophet from among you, your brethren like me. You shall listen to him, according to all that you desired of Yahweh your power in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my power, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And Yahweh said to me, They have spoken well, that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not listen to my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will personally require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other powers, even that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, How shall we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh, if the thing follows not, nor comes to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh has not spoken, but the prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You shall not be afraid of him. Chapter 19. When Yahweh your power has cut off the nations, whose land Yahweh your power gives you, and you succeed them, and dwell in their cities and in their houses, you shall separate 3 cities for yourselves in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your power gives you to possess it. You shall prepare a roadway, and divide the coast of your land, which Yahweh your power gives you to inherit, into 3 parts, that any person who kills another accidentally may find protection there. And this is the case of the one who kills accidentally, who shall flee there, that he may live. Whosoever kills his neighbor accidentally, for whom he has not hatred. As when a man goes into the wood with his neighbor to cut wood, and he raises the axe to cut down the adze, and his axe head cuts loose from its holding, and strikes his neighbor, that he dies as a result, he shall flee to one of those cities and live, lest the avenger of the blood pursue the one who killed accidentally while his heart is hot, and overtake him, because the way is long, and slay him. Whereas this is not a capital case, inasmuch as he hated him not before the accident. Wherefore I command you, saying, You shall separate 3 cities for you, and if Yahweh your power enlarge your coast, as he has sworn to your Ahavoth, and give you all the land which he promised to give to your Ahavoth, if you shall keep all these commandments, to do them which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your power, and to walk always in his ways, then shall you add 3 cities more for you, beside these 3, that innocent blood be not shed in your land, which Yahweh your power gives you for an inheritance, and so blood be upon you. But if many man hates his neighbor, and lie in wait for him, and rise up against him, and wound him mortally, that he die, and then flee into one of these cities, then the elders of his city shall send and fetch him from there, and hand him over to the avenger of blood, that he may die. Your eye shall not pity him, but you shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, that he may go well with you. You shall not remove your neighbor's landmark, which have been defined according to your inheritance, which you shall inherit in the land that Yahweh your power gives you to possess it, One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any transgression, in any transgression that he transgresses. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh, before the Kohanim and the judges, who shall be in those days. And the judge shall make diligent inquiry, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother, then shall you do to him as he had thought to have done to his brother. So shall you put the evil away from among you. And those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And your eyes shall not pity, but life shall go out for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Chapter 20. When you go out to battle against your enemies, and see horses and chariots, and a people more than you, be not afraid of them, for Yahweh your power is with you, who brought you up out of the land of Mitzrayim. And it shall be, when you have come into the battlefield, that the Kohen shall approach and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, you approach this day to battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be terrified because of them. For Yahweh your power is He who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to rescue you. And the officers shall speak to the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new baith, and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his baith, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that has planted a vineyard, and has not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return to his baith, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that has betrothed a wife, and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his baith, lest he dies in the battle, and another man takes her. And the officers shall speak further to the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return to his baith, lest his brethren's heart faint, as well as his heart. And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking to the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When you come near a city to fight against it, then offer it terms of shalom. And it shall be, if they accept the offer of shalom, and open it to you, then it shall be, that all the people that is found there shall become your laborers, and they shall serve you. And if it will make no shalom with you, but will make war against you, then you shall besiege it. And when Yahweh your power has given them to you into your hands, you shall kill every male there with the edge of the sword. But the women and the little ones, and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the plunder there, you shall take into yourself. You shall eat the plunder of your enemies, which Yahweh your power has given you. Thus shall you do to all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which Yahweh your power will give you for an inheritance. You must not allow any living being, but you shall utterly destroy them, namely the Hitti and the Amori, the Canaani and the Perzi, the Huvi and the Yabusi, as Yahweh your power has commanded you. They that teach you not to do after all their ritual defilements, which they have done to their powers, so should you transgress against Yahweh your power. When you shall besiege a city a long time, in making war against it to take it, you shall not destroy the Etzim there by forcing an axe against them, for you may eat of them, and you shall not cut them down for the Etz of the field in man's life to employ them in the siege. Only the Etzim, which you know that they be not Etzim for food, you shall destroy and cut them down, and you shall build siege works against the city that makes war with you, until it be subdued. Chapter 21. If one be found slain in the land, which Yahweh your power gives you to possess it, lying in the field, and it be not known who has killed him, then your elders and your judges shall come forth, and they shall measure to the cities which are round about him that is dead. And it shall be that the city which is next to the slain man, even the elders of that city shall take a heifer, which has not done any work, and which has not drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer to a valley with flowing water, which is neither ploughed nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the Kohanim, the sons of Levi, shall come near, for them Yahweh your power has chosen to speak to him, and to benefit in the name of Yahweh, and by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried, and all the elders of that city that are next to the slain man shall wash their hands over the heifer that is beheaded in the valley. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Yahweh, to your people Yisrael, whom you have redeemed, and lay not innocent blood to your people of Israel's charge, and the blood shall be forgiven them. So shall you put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. When you go forth to war against your enemies, and Yahweh your power has given them into your hands, and you have taken them captive, and see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you find her attractive, that you would like to have her to be your wife, then you shall bring her home to your base, and she shall shave her head and trim her nails, and she shall remove the clothing before being captured, and shall remain in your base, and have a period of mourning for her father and her mother a full month. And after that, you may have sexual relationship with her, and become her husband, and she shall be your wife. And it shall be, if ye have no delight in her, then you shall send her off where she will, but you shall not sell her at all for money. You shall not make merchandise of her, because you have humiliated her. If a man has two wives, one beloved, and another loved less, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the loved less, and if the Bechor son was on the one that was loved less, then it shall be, when he makes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved Bechor before the son of the loved less, which is indeed the Bechor. But he shall acknowledge the son of the loved less for the Bechor, by giving him a double portion of all that he has. For he is the beginning of his strength, the right of the Bechor is his. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father, or the voice of his mother, and that, when they have chastened him, will not listen to them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out to the elders of his city, and to the gate of his place. And they shall say to the elders of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he dies. So shall you put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. And if a man have committed a transgression worthy of death, and he be to be put to death, and you hang him on a net, his body shall not remain all night upon the adze, but you shall in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of Elohim, that your land be not defiled, which Yahweh your power gives you for an inheritance. Chapter 22. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide yourself from them. You shall in any case bring them again to your brother, and if your brother be not near to you, or if you know him not, then you shall bring it to your own base, and it shall be with you until your brother seek after it, and you shall restore it to him again. In like manner shall you do with his ass, And so shall you do with his raiment, and with all lost thing of your brothers, which he has lost. And you have found, shall you do likewise. You may not refuse to get involved. You shall not see your brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way, and hide yourself from them. You shall surely help him to lift them up again. The woman shall not wear that which is men's clothing, neither shall a man put on women's clothing, for all that do so are richly defiled before Yahweh your power. If a bird's nest chance to be before you in the way in any nets, or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the mother bird is sitting upon the young, or upon the eggs, you shall not take the mother bird with the young, but you shall in any wise let the mother bird go, and take the young to you, that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days. When you build a new beth, then you shall make a guardrail for your roof, that you may bring not blood upon your beth, if any male fall from there. You must not plant your vineyard to different seeds, lest the fruit of your seed which you have sown, and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. You shall not plough with an ox and an ass yoked together. You shall not wear clothes as of woolen and linen meshed together. You shall not make yourselves tassels on your four-corner garment. Start again. You shall make yourselves tassels on your four-corner garment. If any man takes a wife and has sexual relations with her and hates her, and shows hatred towards her, and brings up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the evidence of the damsel's virginity to the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man to wife, and he hates her. And behold, he has given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter a maid, and yet this is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of the city shall take that man and discipline him, and they shall fine him with 100 shekels of silver, and give them to the father of the damsel, because he has brought up shame upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not divorce her all his days. But if this thing be true, and the evidence of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's beth, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, lest she die, because she has wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's beth. So shall you put evil away from among you. If a man be found lying with a woman, married to a husband, then they shall both die, both the man that lay with the woman, and the woman. So shall you put away evil from Israel. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed to a husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then you shall bring them both out to the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones, that they die, the damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he has humiliated his neighbor's wife. So you shall put away evil from among you. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her, and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But to the damsel you shall do nothing. There is in the damsel no transgression worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor, and slays him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to rescue her. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, who is not betrothed, and overpowers her, and rapes her, and they are discovered, then the man that raped her shall give to the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. Then the man that raped her shall give to the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has violated her. He may not divorce her all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. Please note that in the verse that says that the man that raped the woman shall give to the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall become his wife. In this instance, although it may be considered a harsh sentence, however, the marriage is only based on the principle that consent is still sought from both the girl and the man-to-be, the husband. But you have to remember that in the old cultures, and even today in the Middle East culture, if a woman is raped, nobody else will marry her. She will be humiliated in the whole city. Hence why this ordinance was set by Yahweh. And note, chapter 23. He that has crushed testicles or has severed genitals shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh. And a legitimate person shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of Yahweh. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Yahweh forever. Because they met you not with Lachem and with Mime in the way, when you came forth out of Mitzrayim, and because they hired against you Bilam the son of Beor, of Pethor, of Mesopotamia, to curse you. Nevertheless, Yahweh your power refused to listen to Bilam, but Yahweh your power turned the curse into an increase to you, because Yahweh your power loved you. You shall not seek their shalom, nor their prosperity all your days forever. You shall not hate an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not hate an Egyptian, because you were a foreigner in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of Yahweh in their 3rd generation. When your armies go forth against your enemies, then keep yourselves from anything impure. If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of nocturnal emission, then he shall go outside the camp. He may not come into the camp, but it shall be, when evening comes, he shall wash himself with Ma'im, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again. You shall have a place also outside the camp, where you shall go for latrine. And you shall have a spade upon your weapon, and it shall be, when you will go to the latrine, you shall dig with a spade and cover your excrement. For Yahweh your power walks in the midst of your camp to rescue you, and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore your camp shall be set apart, that he sees no unclean thing in you, and turn away from you. You shall not give back to his master the servant, which is escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you, even among you, in that place, which he shall choose in one of your gates, where he likes best. You shall not oppress him. There shall be no female cultic prostitute of the daughters of Israel, nor a male cultic prostitute of the sons of Israel. You shall not bring the wages of a female prostitute or the wages of a dog into the bait of Yahweh your power. For any vow you have made for both these are aberrant practices to Yahweh your power. You shall not charge interest for loan of money to your brother, for loan of money, loan of food, or loan of any type, no interest to be charged. To a foreigner you can lend with interest, but to your Israeli brother you shall not lend money with interest, that Yahweh your power may benefit you in all that you set your hand to in the land where you go to possess it. When you shall vow a vow to Yahweh your power, you shall not be slack to pay it, for Yahweh your power will surely require it of you, and it would be a transgression if you don't. But if you shall refrain to vow, it shall not be a transgression to you. That which you have spoken must be honored, even a freewill offering, accordingly as you have vowed to Yahweh your power, which you have promised with your mouth. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, then you may eat grapes as much as you like, but you must not take away any in your vessel. When you come into the standing wheat of your neighbor, then you may pluck the ears with your hand, but you shall not move a sickle to your neighbor's standing wheat. Chapter 24. When a man has taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his base. And when she is departed out of his base, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hates her as well, and writes her a bill of divorcement, and gives it in her hand, and sends her out of his base, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is ritually impure, for that is a ritual defilement before Yahweh, and you shall not cause the land to transgress, which Yahweh your power gives you for an inheritance. When a man has taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife which he has taken. No man shall take the lower or the upper millstone to pledge, for it takes a man's life to pledge. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and makes merchandise of him, or sold him, then that thief shall die, and you shall put evil away from among you. Take heed in the disease of leprosy, that you observe diligently, and do according to all that the Kohanim the Levim shall teach you, as I commanded them, so you shall observe to do. Remember what Yahweh your power did to Miriam by the way, after that you were come forth out of Mitzrayim. When you decide to lend your brother anything, you shall not go into his base to fetch his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you decided to lend shall bring out the pledge out to you. And if the man be poor, you shall not sleep with his pledge. In any case, you shall respect the pledge when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his own clothes and benefit you, and it shall be a right ruling to you before Yahweh your power. You shall not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of your brethren or the foreigners that are in your land within your gates. At his day you shall give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and set his heart upon it, lest he cry against you to Yahweh, and it will be a transgression to you. The avot shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for their avot, fathers. Each man shall be put to death for his own transgression. You shall not pervert the judgment of the foreigner, nor of the fatherless, nor take a widow's clothes to pledge. But you shall remember that you were slaves in Mitzrayim, and Yahweh your power redeemed you there. Therefore I command you to do this thing. When you cut down your harvest in your field, and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you shall not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the foreigner, for the fatherless, for the widow, that Yahweh your power may increase you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive adze, you shall not go over the boughs again. It shall be for the foreigner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not glean it afterward. It shall be for the foreigner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore I command you to do this thing. Chapter 25. If there be a controversy between men, and they go to court for judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the innocent and condemn the guilty. And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down, and to be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number. 40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed, lest, if he should exceed, and beat him above these with many stripes, then your brother should seem vile to you. You shall not muzzle the ox when he treads out the wheat. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and his wife had no child from the dead brother, she shall not marry outside to a foreigner. Her husband's brother shall go into her, and take her to him to be his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be that the Bechor which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. And if the man refuses to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate to the elders and say, My husband's brother refuses to raise up to his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him, and if he stands to it and says, I do not want to take her to be my wife, then shall his brother's wife come to him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done to that man that will not build up his brother's base, and his name shall be called in Israel, the base of him that has his shoe untied. When two men fight together, and the wife of the one draws closer to help her husband being beaten, and grabs the genitals of the other man, then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye shall not pity her. You shall not have different stone weights, a great and a small. You shall not have in your bith different measuring containers, a great and a small. But you shall have an accurate and right stone weight, and an accurate and right measuring container, that your days may be lengthened in the land which Yahweh your power gives you. For all that do such things, and all that do wickedly, are richly defiled before Yahweh your power. Remember what Amalek did to you by the way, when you were come forth out of Mitzrayim, how he met you by the way, and tried to cut off the rear, even all that were tied behind you, when you were faint and weary, and you feared not Elohim. Therefore it shall be, when Yahweh your power has given you rest from all your enemies round about, in the land which Yahweh your power gives you for an inheritance, to possess it, that you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under Shemaim. You shall not forget it. Please note that when a woman that is married to a brother and her husband dies, she automatically becomes a wife of the elder or the younger brother if she has no children, such as a son. However, if she has a son, then she could still be married to the brother of the deceased. But that the choices are entirely up to the widow. Even in the situation of an automatic marriage, when she has no children, and she has to produce a son and give him the name of her dead husband, even in that situation, the rabbis today have to perform a chalitza ceremony, because it may be that she doesn't want to marry the brother. So the rabbis do the chalitza ceremony so that she doesn't have to marry the brother if she doesn't desire to. So nothing is done by force. The woman still has perfect choice to choose whether she wants to be with the brother, who may already have a wife, so she becomes a plural wife, or he may be single. Either way, the choices are upon the widow and, of course, the other party, the brother. We also read in verses 11 and 12, when two people fight and a woman grabs the genitals of the other man and damages the other man, perhaps in such a way that he cannot produce children, or some other way where it just damages him. And the verse 12 says, and you shall cut off her hand. Because we are referring to here where a woman may crush the testicles of somebody by doing that or damaging him permanently. However, there is actually no case of cutting off a literal hand. This is not talking about cut off a hand as we understand it literally. This is talking about her welfare This is talking about a compensation plan. So she has to be taken to judges of the day, and the judges have to decide what is the compensation for the man that she has actually damaged. That is what's being referred to here, of cut off of hand. The same way in the book of Shemot, Exodus 21:24, where it was referred to an eye for an eye or tooth for tooth, you do not and are not permitted to take somebody's eye out or even somebody's tooth out. Again, the same thing, that the cutting or the removing of the eye was a fair amount of compensation that was decided by the judges, or is even today decided by the judges of the day. This would be the rabbis, and this would be the Levite in the gate that would decide in such a scenario what would happen. So there is no literal cutting off as you find in some other cultures. There is no such thing in our faith. End note. Chapter 26. And it shall be, when ye have come into the land which Yahweh your power is about to give you for an inheritance, and possess it and dwell in it, that ye shall take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which ye shall bring of your land, that Yahweh your power is about to give you, and shall put it in a basket, and shall go to the place which Yahweh your power shall choose to place his name there. And ye shall go up to the Kohen that shall be in those days, and say to them, I profess this day to Yahweh your power, that I have come into the country which Yahweh swore to our avot to give us. And the Kohen shall take the basket out of your hand, and set it down before the altar of Yahweh your power. And you shall speak and say before Yahweh your power, and Aramaean was ready to destroy my father, and he went down into Mitzrayim, and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation great, mighty, and numerous in numbers. And the Mitzrayim, Egyptians, evil entreated us, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And when we cried to Yahweh Elohim of our avot, Yahweh heard our voice, and looked on our affliction, and our labor, and our oppression. And Yahweh brought us forth out of Mitzrayim, with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. And he has brought us into this place, and has given us this land, even a land that flows with milk and honey. And now behold, I have brought the Bikurim of the land, which you, O Yahweh, have given me, and you shall set it before Yahweh your power, and pay homage before Yahweh your power. And you shall rejoice in every good thing which Yahweh your power has given to you, and to your baith, you and the Levite and the foreigner that is among you. When ye have made an end of tithing, all the tithe of your increase the third year, which is a year of tithing, and have given it to the Levite, the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within your gates, and be filled. Then you shall say before Yahweh your power, I have brought away the set-apart things out of my baith, and also have given them to the Levite, and to the foreigner, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all your commandments, which you have commanded me. I have not transgressed your commandments, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten anything while in mourning, neither have I removed anything while I was unclean, nor offered anything of it to the dead, but I have obeyed the voice of Yahweh my power, and have done according to all that you have commanded me. Look down from your set-apart dwelling, from Shemaim, and increase your people Yisrael, and the land which you have given us, as you swore to our avot, a land that flows with milk and honey. This day Yahweh your power has commanded you to do these statutes and judgments. You shall therefore guard and do them with all your heart and with all your soul. You have declared to Yahweh this day to be your power, and to keep his halachot in his ways, and to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and to obey his voice. And Yahweh has declared to you this day to be his treasured possession, as he has promised you, and that you should guard all his commandments, and to elevate you above all nations, which he has made in praise and in name and in respect, and that you may be a set-apart people to Yahweh of power, as he has spoken. Chapter 27. And Musa with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, Guard all the commandments which I command you this day. And it shall be on the day when you shall pass over Jordan to the land which Yahweh your power gives you, that you shall erect together great stones, and plaster them with plaster. And you shall write upon them all the words of this Torah, when you have passed over, that you may go into the land which Yahweh your power gives you, a land that flows with milk and honey, as Yahweh Elohim of your Avot has promised you. Therefore it shall be, when you have gone over the Jordan, that you shall erect these stones, which I command you this day, in Mount Ial, and you shall plaster them with plaster. And there shall you build an altar to Yahweh your power, an altar of stones. You shall not lift up any iron tool upon them. You shall build the altar of Yahweh your power of whole stones. You shall offer burnt offerings thereon to Yahweh your power. And you shall offer shalom offerings, and shall eat there, and rejoice before Yahweh your power. You shall write upon the stones all the words of this Torah very plainly. And Musa and the Kohanim the Levim spoke to all Israel, saying, Be silent, and pay close attention, O Israel. This day you have become the people of Yahweh your power. You must listen carefully to the voice of Yahweh your power, and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day. And Musa commanded the people the same day, saying, These shall stand upon Mount Gerizim, to speak benefits over the people, when you have come over the Jordan, Shimon and Levi, and Yehudah and Yisachar, and Joseph and Benjamin. And these shall stand upon Mount Ial, to curse Reuben, Gad, and Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levim shall speak and say to all the men of Israel with a loud voice, Cursed be the man that makes any graven or molten image, or something richly defiled before Yahweh, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and puts it in a secret place, and all the people shall answer and say, Amen. Cursed be he that disrespects his father or his mother, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that removes his neighbor's boundary markers, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that makes the blind to wander out of the way, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that perverts judgment of the foreigner, fatherless and widow, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that lies with his father's wife, because he uncovers his father's nakedness, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that commits bestiality, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that lies with his sister, the daughter of his father, and also the daughter of his mother, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that lies with his mother-in-law, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that kills his neighbor secretly, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that takes reward to kill an innocent person, and all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed be he that does not continue all the words of this Torah to do them, and all the people shall say, Amen. Chapter 28. And it shall come to pass, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahweh your power will elevate you high above all nations of the world, and all these benefits shall come on you and overtake you, if you shall listen carefully to the voice of Yahweh your power. Increased shall you be in the city, and increased shall you be in the field. Increased shall you be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the calves of your herds, and the flocks of your sheep. Increased shall be your basket and your store. Increased shall you be when you come in, and increased shall you be when you go out. Yahweh shall cause your enemies that rise up against you to be struck down before you. They shall come out against you one way, and flee before you 7 ways. Yahweh shall command the increases upon you in your storehouses, and in all that you set your hand to, and he shall increase you in the land which Yahweh your power gives you. Yahweh shall establish you as a set-apart people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you shall guard the commandments of Yahweh your power, and walk in his ways. And all people of the world shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of you. And Yahweh shall make you plenteous in goods, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yahweh swore to you I have oath to give you. Yahweh shall open to you his good treasure, the Shemaim, to give the rain to your land in his season, and to increase all the work of your hand. And you shall lend to many nations, and you shall not borrow. And Yahweh shall make you the head, and not the tail. And you shall be above only, and you shall not be beneath, if you carefully listen to the commandments of Yahweh your power, which I command you this day to guard and to do them. And you shall not go aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other Elohim to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if you will not listen to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, the calves of your herd, and the flocks of your sheep. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. Yahweh shall send upon you cursing, confusion, and oppose you in all that you set your hand to do, until you be destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings, whereby you have forsaken me. Yahweh shall make the pestilence cling to you, until he have consumed you from off the land where you go to possess it. Yahweh will punish you with consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. And they shall pursue you until you perish. And your Shemaim that is over your head shall be bronze, and the earth that is under you shall be iron. Yahweh shall make the rain of your land powder and dust. From Shemaim shall it come down upon you until you be destroyed. Yahweh shall cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, becoming an object of terror, and shall be removed into all the nations of the world. And your carcasses shall become food unto the birds of the air, and to all the wild animals of the earth, and no man shall be there to scare them away. Yahweh will punish you with the boils of Mitzrayim, and with the tumors, and with the scab, and with the itch, from which you cannot be healed. Yahweh shall punish you with madness, and blindness, and confusion of heart. And you shall grope at noonday, as a blind grope in darkness. And you shall not prosper in your ways, and you shall only be oppressed and continually robbed, and no man can rescue you. You shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You shall build a baith, and you shall not dwell therein. You shall plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes there. Your ox shall be slain before your eyes, and you shall not eat there. Your ass shall be violently taken away from before your face, and shall not be restored to you, and your sheep shall be given to your enemies. you shall have none to rescue them. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in your hand. The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a people which you knows not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always, so that you shall become insane from seeing all this. Yahweh shall smite you in the knees and in the legs with incurable boils, from the sole of your feet to the top of your head. Yahweh shall bring you and your sovereign, which you shall set over you, to a heathen nation, which neither you nor your Ahavoth have known, and there shall you serve with the powers of wood and stone. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and an occasion of horror among all the peoples where Yahweh shall scatter you. You shall carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but neither shall drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the scarlet worms shall eat them. You shall have olive atzim throughout all your coasts, but you shall not anoint yourselves with the oil, for your olive shall cast its fruit. You shall give birth to sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All your atzim and fruit of your land shall the locust consume. The foreigner that is within you shall get up above you very high, you shall come down very low. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, till you be destroyed, because you did not listen to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever, because you served not Yahweh your power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahweh shall send against you in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck, until he has destroyed you. Yahweh shall bring a heathen nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a heathen nation whose tongue you shall not understand, a heathen nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle, and the fruit of your land, until you be destroyed, which also shall not leave you either wheat, wine, or oil, or the calves from your herd, or flocks of your sheep, until they have destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted, throughout all your land. And they shall besiege you in all your gates, throughout all your land, which Yahweh your power has given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, which Yahweh your power has given you, in the siege, and in the desperate straits, wherewith your enemies shall distress you, so that the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward his beloved wife, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left him in the siege, and in the desperate straits, where your enemies shall distress you in all your gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward a beloved husband, and toward a son, and toward a daughter, and toward a young one that came out from her womb, and toward the children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things, secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith your enemy shall distress you in the gates. If you will not guard to do all the words of this Torah that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh your power, then Yahweh will increase your afflictions and the afflictions of your descendants, even great plagues, and these will continue a long time, and also severe enduring illnesses. Moreover, he will bring upon you all the diseases of Mitzrayim, which you were afraid of, and they shall cling to you. Also every sickness, every plague which is not written in the book of this Torah, them will Yahweh bring upon you until you be destroyed. And you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of Shemaim for multitude, because you would not obey the voice of Yahweh your power. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and you shall be plucked from off the land where you go to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other, and there you shall serve other powers, which neither you nor your Ahvoth have known, even tree and stone. And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your feet have rest, but Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, Would Elohim it was evening. And in the evening you will say, Would Elohim it was morning. For the fear of your heart, where you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes, which you shall see. And Yahweh shall bring you into Mitzrayim again with ships, by the way thereof I spoke to you. You shall see it no more again, and there you shall be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Chapter 29. These are the words of the contract which Yahweh commanded Musa to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the contract which he made with them in Horeb. And Musa called to all Israel and said to them, You have seen all that Yahweh did before your eyes, in the land of Mitzrayim, to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. The great judgments which your eyes have seen, the signs and those mighty miracles. Yet Yahweh has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear, to this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out, and your sandals on your feet have not deteriorated. You have eaten no lachem, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, that you might know that I am Yahweh your power. And when you came to this place, Sihon the sovereign of Heshbon and Og the sovereign of Bashan came out against us for war, and we defeated them. And we took their land, and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubeni and to the Godi, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh. Guard therefore the words of this contract, and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. You stand this day, all of you, before Yahweh your power, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your infants, your wives, and the foreigner that are in your camp, from the woodcutters to the mine carriers, that you should enter into contract with Yahweh your power, and into his oath, which Yahweh your power makes with you this day, that he may establish you today for a people to himself, that he may be to you a Elohim, as he has said to you, and as he has sworn to your Ahvoth, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov. Neither with you only do I make this contract and this oath, but with him that stands here with us this day before Yahweh our power, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For you know how we have dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, and how we came through the nations which you passed by. And you have seen their idolatrous practices, and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them, lest there should be among you man or woman, or mishpachah or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from Yahweh our power, to go and serve the powers of these nations, lest there should be among you a root that produces poisonous and bitter fruit. And if it comes to pass, when he hears the words of this curse, that he speaks benefit for himself in his heart, saying, I shall have shalom, though I keep my halakha with the rebellious heart, the watered ground with the parched. Yahweh will not be willing to forgive him, but then the anger of Yahweh and his jealousy shall arouse against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and Yahweh shall blot out his name from under Shemaim, and Yahweh shall separate him to evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the contract that are written in this scroll of the Torah, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the foreigner that shall come from a far land, shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sicknesses which Yahweh has laid upon it, and that the whole land there is brimstone, and salt, and burning, that it is not sown, nor does it bear, nor any grass grows there, like the overthrow of Sodom and Amorah, Admah and Zeboim, which Yahweh overthrew in his anger and in his indignation. Even all nations shall say, why has Yahweh done thus to this land? What is the meaning of this heated great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the contract of Yahweh Elohim of the Avot, which he made with them, when he brought them forth out of the land of Mitzrayim. For they went and served other powers, and petitioned them, powers whom they knew not, and whom he had not given to them. And the anger of Yahweh was blazing against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this scroll. And Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. The hidden Torah belongs to Yahweh, our power, but that revealed to us and to our children as a witness forever, that work and do all the words of this Torah. Please note that in this chapter, Yahweh is very clear to tell us that those of us who didn't stand at Mount Sinai with our forefathers, and that then the renewed contract or the new covenant, which was subsequently made in Moab, Yahweh tells us, and even if you're not there, and today if you swear to uphold that contract, that covenant, that Yahweh will still accept you as his people. So all of you who belong to Israel, the house of Israel, you are today to affirm that contract that belonged to your forefathers, and to return back to the Torah, and to join onto a congregation that teaches Torah and teaches you to walk in the ways of Yahweh, to have eternal life, prosperity, and a future in the world to come. And note. Chapter 30. And it shall come to pass, when all these things have come upon you, the increase and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations where Yahweh your power has driven you, and shall return to Yahweh your power, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul. That then Yahweh your power will turn your captivity, and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where Yahweh your power has scattered you. If any of you be driven out to the utmost parts of Shemaim, from even there will Yahweh your power gather you, and from there will he fetch you. And Yahweh your power will bring you into the land which you have both possessed, and you shall possess it. And he will do you good, and multiply you above your avot. And Yahweh your power will circumcise your heart, and the heart of your descendants, to love Yahweh your power with all your heart, and with all your soul, that you may live. And Yahweh your power will put all these curses upon your enemies, and on them that hate you, who persecuted you. And you shall return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all the commandments which I command you this day. And Yahweh your power will make you plenteous in every work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, in the fruit of your cattle, in the fruit of your land, for good, for Yahweh will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your avot. If you shall carefully listen to the voice of Yahweh your power, to guard his commandments and his statutes, which are written in the scroll of the Torah, and if you return to Yahweh your power with all your heart and with all your soul, for this commandment which I command you this day, it is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in the Shemaim that you should say, who shall go up for us to the Shemaim and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. In that I command you this day to love Yahweh your power, to walk in his halakha, and to guard his halachot, and his statutes, and his judgments, that you may live and multiply, and Yahweh your power shall increase you in the land where you go to possess it. But if your heart turn away, so that you will not hear, but shall be drawn away, and pay homage to other powers, and serve them, I declare to you this day, that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land, where you pass over the Yarden, to go to possess it. I call the Shemaim and the earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, increases and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live, that you may love Yahweh your power, and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cling to him, for he is your life, and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yahweh swore to your avot, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, to give them. Please note, clinging to Yahweh would mean that you cling to the closest thing that is to Yahweh. The closest thing to Yahweh is the priesthood. You cling to a Levite who is closest to Yahweh, and through that you cling to Yahweh. So it does not necessarily mean that you cling to some airy-fairy concept, but you cling to the person that Yahweh has put close to Yahweh himself, would be the priesthood, the Levites in the gate, the Kohanim. And note. Chapter 31. And Musa went and spoke these words to all Israel, and he said to them, I am 120 years old this day. I can no more go out and come in. Also Yahweh has said to me, ye shall not go over this Yarden. Yahweh your power, he will go over before you, and he will destroy these nations from before you, and you shall possess them. And Yahushua, he shall go over before you, as Yahweh has said. And Yahweh shall do to them as he did to Sihon and to Og, sovereigns of the Amori, and to the land of them whom he destroyed. And Yahweh shall give them up before your face, that you may do to them according to all the commandments which I have commanded you. Be strong and of a good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them. For Yahweh your power, he it is that will go with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you. And Musa called to Yahushua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of a good courage, for you must go with this people to the land which Yahweh has sworn to their avot, to give them. You shall cause them to inherit it, and Yahweh, He it is that will go before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you, neither forsake you. Fear not, neither be dismayed. And Musa wrote this Torah and gave it to the Kohanim, the sons of Levi, which carried the ark of the contract of Yahweh, and to all the elders of Israel. And Musa commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, in the appointed time of the year of suspension of labor, in Chag HaSukkot, the appointed celebration time of tabernacles, when all Israel is come to appear before Yahweh of power in the place which He shall choose, you shall read this Torah before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and children, and the foreigner that are within your gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn, and fear Yahweh of power, and guard to do all the words of this Torah, and that their children, which have not known anything, may hear, and learn to fear Yahweh of power, as long as you live in the land where you go over the Yarden to possess it. And Yahweh said to Musa, behold, your days approach, that you must die. Call Yehoshua, and present yourselves in the tent of the appointed times, that I may give him a charge. And Musa and Yehoshua went, and presented themselves in the tent of the appointed times. And Yahweh appeared in the tent in a pillar of a cloud, and the pillar of the cloud stood over the door of the tent. And Yahweh said to Musa, behold, you shall sleep with Yahweh, and this people will rise up and go whoring after the powers of the strangers of the land, where they go to be among them, and will forsake me, and break my contract which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, are not these evils come upon us, because our powers is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day, for all the evils which they shall have worked, in that they are turned to other powers. Now therefore you write this song for you, and teach it the children of Israel, put it in their mouths, that this song may be a true report for me against the children of Israel. For when I shall have brought them into the land which I swore to their avot, that flows with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten and filled themselves and become fat, then will they turn to other powers and serve them and provoke me and break my contract. And it shall come to pass, when many evils and troubles are befallen them, that this song shall testify against them as a witness, for it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their descendants. For I know their imagination, which they go about, even now, before I have brought them into the land which I swore. Musa therefore wrote this song the same day, and taught it the children of Israel. And he gave Yehoshua the son of Nun a charge, and said, be strong, and of a good courage, for you shall bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore to them, and I will be with you. And it came to pass, when Musa had made an end of writing the words of this Torah in a scroll, until they were finished, that Musa commanded the Levim, which carried the ark of the contract of Yahweh, saying, take this scroll of the Torah, and put it in the side of the ark of the contract of Yahweh, your power, that it may be there for a witness against you. For I know your rebellion and your stubbornness. Behold, while I am yet alive with you this day, you have been rebellious against Yahweh, and how much more after my death? Gather to me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears, and call Shemaim and earth to record against them. For I know that after my death you will utterly corrupt yourselves, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. And Musa spoke in the ears of all the congregation of Israel the words of this song until they were ended. Chapter 32. Give ear, O you Shemaim, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as a rain, my speech shall drip as a dew, as a small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahweh, ascribe you greatness to our Supreme One. He is the rock, his work is complete. For all his halachot are right ruling. El, the power of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Is this how you pay Yahweh, O foolish and unwise people? Is not he your father that has brought you? Has he not made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the sons of Israel. For Yahweh's portion is his people. Yaakov is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a wilderness land, and in the waste, howling wilderness, he led him about. He instructed him. He continually guarded him as a pupil of his eye. As an eagle stirs up her nest, flutters over her young, spreads abroad her wings, takes them, and bears them on her wings. So Yahweh alone did lead him, and there was no strange El with him. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter from the herd, and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs, and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the fat kernels of wheat. And you did drink the pure wine of the grapes. But Yeshurun waxed fat, and kicked. You are waxen fat, you are grown thick, you are covered with fatness. And then he forsook Elohim, who made him, the rock of his salvation, with contempt. They provoked him to jealousy with strange powers. With ritual defilement, they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons, not to powers whom they knew not, to new powers that came newly up, whom your Avot feared not. Of the rock that gave you birth, you are unmindful, and have forgotten El, the power that formed you. And when Yahweh saw it, he abhorred them, because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are very perverse generation, children in whom there is no belief. They have moved me to jealousy with El. They have enraged me to anger with their futilities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a nation that is slow to learn. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn to the lowest Sheol, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will increase their disasters. I will spend mine arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send wild animals upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword outside and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of grey hairs. I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Was it not that I considered the taunt of their enemies, lest the adversaries misunderstand, and lest they should say, Our hand is high, and Yahweh has not done all this? For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000, and 2 put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them, and Yahweh had shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their wine is of the wine of Sodom, and of the fields of Amorah. Their grapes are grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter. Their wine is a poison of dragons, and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongs vengeance and recompense. Their feet shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them make haste. For Yahweh shall judge his people, and he is grieved for his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is no one left, whether confined or set free. And he shall say, Where are their powers, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you, and be your protection. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no Elohim with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can rescue out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to Shemaim, and say, I live forever. If I sharpen my glittering sword, and my hand will take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies, and will reward them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives, from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Be glad, O Shemaim, with him, and let all the heavenly sons pay homage to him. Be glad, O Goim, with his people, and let all the Malachim of Elohim prevail for him, for he will avenge the blood of his sons, and take a revenge, and repay the enemies with a sentence, and he will repay those who hate, and the Adonai, the Lord the Master, shall cleanse the land of his people. And Musa came and spoke all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Hoshea the son of Nun. And Musa made an end of speaking all these words to all Israel. And he said to them, Set your hearts to all the words which I testify among you this day, which you shall command your children to guard, to do all the words of this Torah. For it is not a worthless word for you, because it is your life, and by this word you shall prolong your days in the land, where you go over the Yarden to possess it. And Yahweh spoke to Musa the very same day, saying, Get up into this mountain Avarim, to Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and behold the land of Canaan, which I give to the children of Israel for a possession, and die in the mount where you go up, and be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people, because you trespassed against me among the children of Israel at the mine of Meribah Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin, because you sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Israel. Yet you shall see the land before you, but you shall not go there to the land which I give the children of Israel. Chapter 33. And this is the increase wherewith Musa the man of Elohim benefited the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahweh came from Sinai, and rose up from Seir to them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, And he came with 10,000s of his set-apart ones. From his right hand went a royal decree for them. Yes, he loved the people. All his set-apart Kedoshim are in your hand, and they sat down at your feet. Everyone shall receive of your words. Musa commanded us a Torah, even the inheritance of the congregation of Yaakov. And he was sovereign in Yeshurun. When the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together, let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. And this is a benefit of Yehudah. And he said, Hear, Yahweh, the voice of Yehudah, and bring him to his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and you be a help against his enemies. And of Levi he said, Let your Thummim and your Urim be with your favorable ones, whom you did prove at Massa, and with whom you did strive at the Maim of Merivah. Who said to his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed your word and kept your contract. They shall teach Yaakov your judgments, and Israel your Torah. They shall put incense before you, and hold burnt sacrifice upon your altar. Kneel before Yahweh, his might, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. And of Benjamin he said, The beloved of Yahweh shall dwell in safety by him, and Yahweh shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his chest. And of Joseph he said, Increased of Yahweh be his land, for the precious things of Shemaim, for the dew, and for the deep that couches beneath, and for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth, and fullness there, and for the good will of him that dwelt in the bush. Let the increase come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren. His esteem is like the behor of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of wild ox. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in your going out, and Yissachar in your tents. They shall call the people to the mountain, there they shall offer sacrifices of right ruling, for they shall suck of the abundance of the seas, and of treasures hid in the sand. And of God he said, Increased be he that enlarges God, who dwells as a lioness, and tears the arm with the crown of the head. And he has selected the best portion for himself, because there, in a portion of the lawgiver, was he seated, and he came with the leaders of the people. He did the right ruling of Yahweh, and his judgments with Israel. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor, and full with the increases of Yahweh, you possess the west and the south. And of Asher he said, Let Asher be increased with children, let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Your sandals shall be iron and bronze, and as your days, so shall your strength be. There is none like to the El, power of Yeshurun, who rides upon the Shemaim in your help, and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal Elohim is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall thrust out the enemy from before you, and shall say, Destroy them. Yisrael then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Yaakov shall be upon a land of wheat and wine. Also his Shemaim shall drop down dew. Happy are you, O Yisrael! Who is like to you, O people rescued by Yahweh, the shield of your help? And who is the sword of your excellency? And your enemies shall be found liars to you, and you shall tread upon their high places. Chapter 34. And Musa went up from the plains of Moab to the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And Yahweh showed him all the land of Gilead to Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Yehudah to the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of Palm Etzim, to Zoar. And Yahweh said to him, This is a land which I swore to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your seed. I have caused you to see it with your eyes, but you shall not go over there. So Musa, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of Yahweh. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knows of his sepulchre to this day. And Musa was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Musa in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Musa were ended. And Yehoshua the son of Nun was full of the ruach of wisdom, for Musa had laid his hands upon him. And the children of Israel listened to him, and did as Yahweh commanded Musa. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like to Musa, whom Yahweh knew face to face. In all the signs and the wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Mitzrayim, to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all that mighty hand, and in all the great terror which Musa showed in the sight of all Israel. Chazak, Chazak, Benitza Chazak, be strong, and may we be strengthened. Israel will be restored again. Hallelujah. The end of the Torah.